Ladies and gentlemen, Seraphine is an absolute sleeper pick. You need to pick her up right now before she gets nerfed, as right now she has a 54% win rate. And this is the rank 1 Seraphine player, so it couldn't fit any better. We are going to watch the rank 1 Seraphine player with 77% win rate on the pick. And we're going to jump right into the Rift, as we are going to play a Seraphine together with the Aphelios. And we'll be facing off against a Rakan and a Nilah. Alright, so Nilah, definitely not the standard AD carry. Works very weird in the bot lane, makes the bot lane very weird whenever she's present, as she shares levels and all of that. So this is definitely going to be very interesting. In the top lane, we have a Shen for the blue team with an Irelia in the mid lane and a Elise in the jungle. And in the red team, there is going to be a Xin Zhao with a Ryze mid lane, a Singed bot lane, a Singed top lane, who is currently sitting in bot lane, ready to cheese it up, but no cheese possible. He's trying to catch a potential support ward here and a potential overstep here by the bot lane, but he's going to make his leave now and go back into the top lane. All right, so what kind of comp do we have here? We have a Shen paired with a Irelia and an Aphelios, which is already nasty. Then we have an Elise, which is able to dive everything at any point in the game, which synergizes very well with the Irelia, as it is a good mixture of AD and AP damage as well. Here for the top side, making itemization for Xin Zhao as well as for the Singed a little bit harder if they end up falling behind. We also have a Ryze in the mid lane, who is pretty good at shutting down something like the Irelia, but still also is definitely killable here by the Irelia. But we're going to focus on to the bottom lane, of course, and we will talk a little bit about Seraphine Aphelios and why that is a pretty decent combo, very interesting. As generally, what kind of champion is Seraphine? I think this is a good point, because usually I don't really do that a lot in casts. However, you know, this is Seraphine we're talking about. This is not a Thresh, right? This is not your standard support that you see all the time. And so Seraphine has like a little bit of pressure in the early game together with the Eri. But I think her strongest suit is going to be the lane pressure that she provides, with a certain amount of safety as well, and a very high reliance on certain items to become much stronger and power herself up quite a bit. So Rylai's, if you haven't seen that before, but Rylai's works with Seraphine's E in a way that your E can immediately root an enemy. As the way it works is that your E slows unless the target is slowed, then it roots. And since Rylai's basically applies the slow and the root then at the same time, the E is very strong with the Rylai's. Now, it's not necessarily always necessary to get that, but it will help you a lot, because then you can use your upgraded W, for example. As Elise will overstep a little bit, will take a lot of damage, but the flash by the Irelia is going to save that. And here the very beautiful roam by the Seraphine. And her positioning a little bit questionable here. She could have cut off the Irelia a little bit more, but we are going to be able to pick up that kill. However, now Aphelios will find himself inside of Nilah and Rakan, which is an absolutely unwinnable situation, and thus the situation turns out very good for the red team. And this shows one of the big differences between something like the Nilah and some other AD carries. Is Nilah is able to hit very strong all-ins, and also obviously is able to hit that level 3, level 6 spike much earlier than other AD carries, thus prompting you to play around that and either push hard enough and put her behind far enough that that doesn't matter, or just lose the game. You know, you're just gonna get rolled over and walked over and get ulted by the Nilah, and it's not going to be a fun time. The thing that Nilah tends to struggle with later on is the fact that in teamfights it can be a little bit difficult for her to have impact. Much more difficult than some other champions, of course. Beautiful dodge here of the Xin Zhao W. as the Aurelia's preparing the wave to potentially continue this fight, right? So attacking the minions, putting them low in a way that she can use her Q to kind of do a little bit of work there. She will push in the wave now, will probably recall as Ryze will get a little bit of an opening here. And the bot lane is getting zoned out once again. This is the classic Nilah problem, is especially if your support roams. You can pretty much just farm under turret, and it can be very hard to dive in Nilah because of her W, but it is still possible to poke her out, and poking her out is very, very difficult because obviously she doesn't want to use her W on just a little bit of poke, right? A little bit of non-committal poke. But eventually you can hit critical mass where Nilah has such low HP then that she isn't really able to do much anymore, which is kind of the goal that you're reaching for. So Shen ultimate is available. It is being spam pinged already, which means Ryze needs to be much more careful here now, as Irelia can find very good all-ins. Ryze will dodge the E and will do a lot of damage to the Irelia, but Irelia obviously has really good items, and those are going to help her with the sustain in the lane. As Rakan moving in to defend the ward here, and yeah, you need to be a little bit careful here as Irelia's. Rakan actually creating a lot of vision here on the map. Might even deny the control ward here. He's looking now for a all-in angle here for the Nilah. Nilah is holding herself back a little bit, playing it a little bit safe, but now Rakan will be found out with the screen obviously on the Seraphine and the Aphelios. Beautiful Seraphine bind will land, and that is one dead kill, as Shen will join the party as well, taking down the Xin Zhao. At least giving that one over to the Aphelios, actually really big, as the Singed will do a little bit of damage to the turret here and get his recall in. Very interesting. Could have definitely taken that plate. For sure. As we are pushing in the bottom lane here, and now going to be dealing damage to the dragon. And that was, honestly, that was just a little bit too cocky by the Rakan. Just stand there, and then obviously Elise comes into vision and he doesn't realize. So Rakan is not going to find the cancel onto the Seraphine. And we already see the value that Seraphine can provide here with the shields, with the slow, with that little bit of tickle damage that she can do together with Ahri. That's much better for the early game. Ahri definitely doesn't scale very hard in comparison to other runes, but works super well, obviously, with the kit of any enchanter that likes to deal a little bit of damage early. As Irelia will be looking for the all-in here. Elise is joining in the Ryze ultimate, will get everyone out of harm's way. Gotta be careful now as Ryze and Singed are converging onto the mid lane. Elise is going to try and sidestep, but gets caught here. The flash out of the Seraphine will keep the Elise alive, and Irelia will trade herself and give down a shutdown. Trade herself here for the Ryze. Absolutely do not do that if you want to win your games, as this is something that can be really, really bad. Especially someone like the Singed can scale up immensely in power, especially versus someone like the Shen, who does not really have the best pushing power. Singed does tend to do very well against these champions. As the Seraphine is going to move into the bottom lane here, ready to protect her AD carry. No level 6 available for her. Level 6 available, though, for the Nilah lane. You got to be very careful with that, as we are spending a lot of mana here on just a little bit of poke. And oftentimes, a single Q is much better than a double Q, as Nilah will find the all-in. Beautiful follow-up by the Rakan, as Seraphine will be caught out of position here and will be taken down. But Nilah taking a lot of damage here, activating that W now, as Aphelios is blocked and not able to find the kill here so far. He's going to try and do it, but he doesn't trade himself for the Nilah. And Nilah 4-0-1 now. Very strong start to the lane here for the Nilah. Ghost was activated by both of the AD carries. Flashes were used, all resources expended, which opens this one up very beautifully for another jungle gank and a little bit of jungle interaction, as Elise is going to find that binding and is going to find a good amount of damage into the Xin Zhao. But after that burst is gone, what do? Well, you just wait for the Irelia to finish that one off and take the kill. In the end, not too bad, as Irelia still quite dangerous here to the Ryze, but Ryze finding beautiful trades here, predicting the dashes of the Irelia. If you want to know how to play against Irelia, just understand that Irelia has the weakness of being very predictable whenever she wants to dash to minions. Very important for something like the Rise if you want to hit that QE combo for maximum amount of damage. As Nilah will be walking into the bottom lane now with a Berserker Boot, Tiamat, and Vampiric Scepter to her name. And that engage was absolutely scary because Nilah started the engage and Rakan just able to follow up on that from miles away. So you would have thought you are safe because Rakan walked away. But Nilah, a little bit of an engaged champion as well. That is quite good as the Shen will come out and Irelia will live long enough that Shen can join the fight here. Irelia now with the Ignite being blocked out quite a bit, and she will look for the kill and will acquire the kill onto the Rakan. No Triumph available for her though, and she will end up going down as a good trade here by the Shen. And the bottom lane managed to score a kill, and we need to have a look at that. So let's see what exactly is going on here as the Seraphine moving in very aggressively here. The ultimate is available. We are going to tag Nilah with 1E here only. Now the Elise is going to find massive damage, and that is just a dead Nilah. Can't even activate that W of hers, as obviously the fight here in the mid lane does occur. You know, Singed is just going to trade that back against a lot of money here with the plates and the entire wave. So Singed is sitting strong, sitting good, and he will be very, very scary once he starts to join fights, because Singed scales very well with items. I mean, what can I say, you know? Bit of a scary champion, that one. Aurelia gonna hit that teleport into the middle lane. Beautiful. The middle lane and the... No, that joke. I can't do that joke. We just can't. No. I run it back. Okay, well... So, we got to be a little bit careful here as the Xin Zhao and the Rakan are looking for a little bit of an invade here. And Elise obviously in the top lane currently preoccupied by killing the Herald, or with killing the Herald. Seraphine's playing it safe, walking around here, and needs to be a little bit more careful. Now, as a dive is potentially definitely possible. Nilah, super strong at diving as well. But as it would appear, the bot lane, the blue bot lane, decides to give up the turret here as Xin Zhao will be caught out of position, and beautifully the Irelia will find the stun onto him as Elise will now go for the Rise. Rise has a little bit of backup though, and you got to be a little bit careful here as Nilah wants to recall. She does have her Hydra available to herself, and Hydra still, after all the nerfs, absolutely insane value here on the Nilah. I'm pretty sure that that item is going to be a mainstay on Nilah for the time being as a first item, because it's just so good. You just love the item as Nilah. And Nilah does need quite a bit of push as well, as if you don't touch the wave a lot, then whenever you do, you need to absolutely obliterate it. Can be very hard, as we are going to find an engage here onto the Elise. Beautiful ultimate by the Seraphine, and since the bot lane elects to play it safe, Elise will go down here. But this was a clear man advantage here for the red team, and Elise just got caught out. And I think it is the correct play here to play it safe, as we will hit the binding onto the Nilah. Nilah will take a lot of damage, still has her W in the back pocket, so you can't really overchase that. As the ultimate engage will be found here by the Irelia, and Irelia will take out the Rise. Very good, very good. As 8-3 and 2, that is a scary as hell Irelia. As Nilah looking for a little bit of... Yeah, I mean, Nilah could definitely be looking here for a engage. Has 20 stacks already on the Titanic Hydra. Pretty good. Ravenous Hydra, sorry. So do have quite a bit of of damage already available to herself. do have, dude. What am I even saying? Like, hello? It's fine. All right. This is Xin Zhao will take his leave now. And we'll look for the acquisition of a couple of cloth armors here. Goddrinker in his inventory already. The Elise has some anti-heal though. That is very good. Very good pickup against the Nila and against the Xinjiao. So not too bad. And Rice is not going to feel very good in the side lane here against the Aurelia, especially once she has completed her Wit's End, which she is currently probably building. Oh yeah, definitely building because of the pickaxe actually. Heartstilex, you don't really know it, although no Aurelia players are playing Triforce. Like that is a relic of bygone days. But still, potentially. You gotta be careful that you don't overstep here as Aurelia though, because this Rise can lock you down very easily, and Rakan won't have the easiest of times. Very big damage here found by the Aurelia, as the Rise will have to flash out. Gotta be a little bit careful, but Xinjiao now will find the engage on to the Aphelios. Huge Shen Shield comes out, and Aphelios will just take down one. Ghost is activated as we are looking for the Nila. Nila will not find the engage here. The ultimate is going to hit the Nila, and thus she will be locked down for a long time. But unfortunately doesn't quite go down, and thus the stacks are almost fully stacked here on the Ravenous Hydra. This Nila is absolutely huge. 5, 1, and 3. And even though that was a really good Seraphine ultimate, Nila becomes very, very tanky if she is ahead. And this Nila most definitely seems to be ahead, as Aurelia is going to teleport in a little bit late and will actually look for a fight here. It's very interesting. Doesn't hit the stun and thus has to abort the mission. Very unfortunate. Don't forget that Nila can give her W to her allies as well. So we don't even know if that Rakan would have died with Aurelia committing to it. So generally not a bad idea to play it safe, which Aurelia did kind of after using her ultimate, you know, and her teleport to defend the mid lane turret, which honestly is not a bad investment. Wish she could have teleported a little bit sooner to that fight to help out. But I would assume that that wasn't available. Didn't track that cooldown. As the Seraphine has the Shurelias available now for herself, which is pretty good for the Aphelios. Definitely an item that Aphelios loves versus the Rakan. Rakan, don't get it mixed up though, is very scary. Rakan Nila is generally very scary against Aphelios. But it is one of these matchups where if Aphelios kills and gets ahead, then he just kills Nila on approach. But if he doesn't, then it can be a very difficult matchup to play, as there are a million ways to find and engage and find CC onto him. The W can keep Nila safe for the longest amount of time. So if she pushes that W at the correct time, the W button, then she is going to do fine for herself. And will probably just lose a little bit of HP, but take down the Aphelios. So now for the Nila, of course, well, I'm expecting a Kraken Slayer out of this. Could be a Gale Force as well. But as it would seem, the Nila will be going for a Kraken Slayer here. Loads of damage is very, very important here. Beautiful CC combo here out of the Seraphine, as the Aphelios ultimate comes in a little bit late. The teleport will block this whole fight, as now the bot lane will move in to the dragon and will start doing it. As actually the entire red team here will move over and the blue team will follow, but of course not necessarily ready, as Aurelia will find herself a little bit out of position. Or is it the enemy team that is out of position? We are about to find that out, as the enemy team is just absolutely taken apart by the Aurelia, all in together with the Shen. Absolutely huge value there, and we are killing almost everyone on the enemy team. Just the Singed is going to walk away. Shen says, hold on, I can take this guy down. I think that is a little bit unrealistic, but we're going to push out the wave. And the Singed is going to make it back into the bottom lane here a little bit late, so he's going to miss quite a bit. Actually, never mind, this is just 2 minions here, so absolutely not. As the Rise now did a little bit of dirty funning, is going to walk back into the mid lane, but should probably recall. Elise, don't get it wrong, is absolutely amazing at diving turrets, so we should play this a little bit careful. But of course, with Nila and Rakan walking into the mid lane, he should be good. Also, something that we need to point out is obviously Rise should be walking into the side lane here soon-ish. So he will do that, but Nilah obviously is going to miss a wave here that she could have picked up. And especially on AD carries like Nilah, it can be very important to pick up that bag because you're going to need it. You're going to need it in order to stay alive during an Irelia jumping on you. W generally very strong against the enemy team here for the Nilah, but it only lasts so long, and if you're stunned by the Seraphine, then it doesn't really do too much, does it? Seraphine so far being a very vital tool here in order to at least turn these fights into the blue team's favor. And I think it's just gonna get worse. Her impact is gonna get bigger and bigger. She is running a Ruby Crystal now. We'll see whether or not that is going to be a Rylai's Crystal Scepter. But yeah, this player has hit beautiful ease here so far and then chained them into the ultimate. Probably something that we should point out, very important, is the fact that we are chaining together these CC spells. We're not just whiffing our ultimate right into the abyss, which I think is very important. Also, if you guys have any champion that you want me to cast, hit me up. Tell me in the comments which champion, which player. My ears are always open. Ooh, this is going to be a really rough fight again. Beautiful ultimate here by the Seraphine. Will catch out two members again. Split up the fight. And the Shen ultimate coming in very strong again as a kill. Will go down to the Aphelios once again as we are now taking a look at the Baron here as a blue team. Only Nilah and the Rise available. Nilah does have her Kraken Slayer. She does quite a bit of damage. But I'm not entirely sure that this is going to be enough to turn this fight. Nilah agrees with me and is just going to try to push the turret here. Teleport comes out by the blue team, as Nilah will not be able to take this turret for now. And Shen will just bind her under turret. Very greedy here, Nilah. Nilah is going to press W, will take down the turret, is going to use her ultimate as well. Will try to take down the Shen, but Shen still has enough HP that she barely cannot take him down. And the Elise will help out with a little bit of Proto Belt damage. Nilah lost quite a bit of stacks here, and this is really the big tragedy. If you die like a couple of times on something like the Nilah, which isn't too hard to do, then all the stacks are gone. And then Ravenous Hydra, definitely not a A-tier item anymore. Goes more into the direction of like a B or C tier item without the stacks. And yeah, I mean, I understand why people go for the Hydra, but I never like these items where you die and you lose all the stacks in like solo queue, because there are just times where you just need to die in solo queue, where you just need to like throw yourself in to prevent a Baron or whatever it is. And also there are just times where you will die and your team cleans up after, right? Especially as AD carry, like in Nilah. You are not the standard AD carry that just needs to stay alive at any cost for the entire time. If you blow your damage, you do a lot of damage and then eventually get taken down. That's totally fine. But with a Ravenous Hydra, that can, even with all the gold that you get afterwards, can still lead in a loss of damage for the next fight, which... not a big fan. Not a big fan of that one. Alright, Shen ultimate is available here. As the Irelia will be... not setting a trap. Elise very far behind enemy lines. Gonna be a little bit careful with that one. Is gonna be looking for the Xin Zhao here. Massive damage onto Xin Zhao. Xin Zhao will be taken down as the Shen ultimate comes out. And Shen will not be able to catch anyone. Very keen on using his E here though. It's gonna take a lot of damage, but will lock down the Rise, and Rise will be CC chained for the foreseeable future, as now the Rakan, eating that Gravitum stun, but doesn't really care about it, is going to get himself out of there. as Singed, Rakan, and Nilah aren't the best at defending turrets, but also conversely are not super terrible at it. Versus something like the Shen, like the Elise, but it's going to be a little bit difficult to withstand the entire might here of the blue team, which is split up quite a bit, as Elise will be taking down the dragon, and Aurelia just made it back from base. Now has a Immortal Shield Bow, Blade of the Rune King, and Wit's End available, which is a pretty strong start. Pretty strong spike for her. As obviously just the Blade of the Rune King, probably one of the biggest spikes for the champion, and then after that, of course, getting your mythic is going to be very big, and getting your mythic like second or third item obviously makes much more sense with the mythic theme, right? Because these mythic passives, they don't really do a lot if you only have the mythic item. It's always going to be a decent idea to, you know, go for something like the shield bow as like a third or second item to give you a little bit of survivability, give you a little bit of critical strike damage, but the big damage dealer is still the Blade of the Rune King. And Wit's End, honestly, do not underestimate it. It actually does help you out quite a bit. You tend to do a lot of damage, and obviously keeps you safe versus the Rise and the Singed off, which you are going to take damage like constantly, right? Because you will always be damaged by the Rise, and most likely going to be in the poison cloud of Singed as well. Talking about Singed, he will, together with the Xin Zhao, now work on taking down the Shen as the flip comes out, but Shen will still go down. Did waste a lot of time though, and here we are looking for an all-in onto the enemy team as Rakan will be taken down. Nilah now will find the counter trade already, but Aphelios will take her down as that W doesn't last long enough. That is a double kill for the Aphelios as Seraphine will unfortunately go down. Surrender vote failed for the team. And so they will stay in the game. Yeah, try to jump on me, Xin Zhao. Yeah, the repel's gonna come in very handy here. Yeah, Aurelia can't really do damage to the turret here with Singed being around. Singed is such a pesky champion. For real. Like you are out of position and then he makes you die like so super slowly, and you'll realize in the beginning, and then you just have to spend like 5 minutes still running away. But he will get you. Just flip you like 20 times. Put you back to the situation, or to the point where you started. Alright, Warden's Mail now available here for the Nilah. It's a pretty good item, because it does block the Aurelia and the Aphelios here. And Nilah, obviously, more or less an AD carry, right? I think she is a pretty good attempt at creating a AD that is melee, but also obviously brings just some weaknesses with her. If you compare it to a normal AD carry like the Aphelios, it can be a little bit difficult to do that. She does keep up very well in farm or in XP as long as she keeps farming. So that is one upside. As we are looking to trade here for the Baron, we are looking to trade the mid lane inhibitor, and that is honestly not a bad call here by the red team, as the Rise ultimate is available to get themselves out of trouble here. Teleport comes in. Will it be finished to channel? Yes, it will be, as Shen is now ready here to soak up some of the damage so his team can join him. And now the team has arrived. A huge Seraphine ultimate will lock down 4 members of the enemy team, and everyone is falling to the Aphelios, as Aphelios will be able to do his job just perfectly in that situation. That was an absolutely insane Seraphine ultimate that hit everyone, and very well done by the Shen as the surrender vote comes through, and that is a G to the G. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one, and stay